swenya biomume, eniga swenya kansa jidi swenya yom. Eniga fuego, maye bia maye, yabo mose, yamawa mo. Eniga fu mo, osabere mo.
Hello there, good evening, and many thanks to you for staying with us here on Adwa Television. My name is Reginald Addy, and welcome to your favorite political analysis program. Here we bridge the gap between the lawmakers and the populace. This is PM Ghana, and tonight we will be looking at a rather multifaceted topic where we put the economy of the nation in perspective. Now, through and through with the economy, we've heard about the international ratings agencies, Moody's. We've heard from Fitch as well. We've heard about the retaliation from the side of the government. You've heard about all of these things going on, but you don't know what these mean for us as a country. Well, if you want to know what the downgrading of Ghana's economic standing, credit risk standing, is from B to B minus in Fitch's rating, in Moody's rating from B3 to CAA1. And do stay tuned with us on PM Ghana tonight as we delve into the matters of the economy. We'll also be looking at e-levy if time permits us. And then if we do have time again, we'll quickly look at the reduction or the taking out of the petroleum service tax as well. Look at petroleum price increments as one of those matters. Look at the consequences of all of these on the ordinary Ghanaian and where we can move from here. Of course, the economy is one aspect that runs through almost every key aspect of the nation, and once the economy is in shambles, well, everything else would go in shambles. We've had warnings, especially also from the let's say the leader of the biggest opposition party, the NDC, and he has called and also indicated that the NDC is ever ready to sit down with the current administration to proffer solutions. He says that they should swallow their pride, the remaining bit of that pride left in them, they should swallow it so that they come to the table and proffer solutions. Time is now, he says. He says that we are sitting on a time-ticking bomb as far as our economy is concerned. To get this and more, do stay tuned with us here on PM Ghana. You can also join us on Facebook at Adwa TV Ghana, where we're streaming live, and share your thoughts, your concerns with us as well. Do stay tuned. When we come back, I'll introduce my guest, and of course, we'll dive straight into the conversation.
Blue City is a manufacturer and supplier of high-quality fashion accessories. We design and make quality bow ties, flying ties, lapel pins, ladies' brooches, fabric necklaces, African wares, and so much more for your weddings, schools, institutions, bands, choir, singing groups, individuals, and so many more. We use both African prints and foreign fabrics to make your beautiful accessories for you. Oh yeah! Contact us via call or WhatsApp or SMS on 0240 926 564. Locate us at Odoko Official Town opposite Emils Preparatory School. Check us out on social media, Facebook and Instagram at Blue City Fashion. Blue City, creativity and style.
Welcome aboard the safest airline in Africa. With industry-leading safety measures to protect your well-being. The first in Africa to earn a diamond standard of safety. Offering a more contactless, safe, and seamless experience. Delivered with a smile by Africa's first fully vaccinated crew. Creating special memories that bring the joy back to flying, so you can continue making memories with your loved ones. Book your flight with Rwandair today. Rwandair, the safest airline in Africa.
Rwandair, fly the dream of Africa.
Blue City is a manufacturer and supplier of high-quality fashion accessories. We design and make quality bow ties, flying ties, lapel pins, ladies' brooches, fabric necklaces, African wares, and so much more for your weddings, schools, institutions, bands, choir, singing groups, individuals, and so many more. We use both African prints and foreign fabrics to make your beautiful accessories for you. Oh yeah! Contact us via call or WhatsApp or SMS on 0240 926 564. Locate us at Odoko Official Town opposite Emils Preparatory School. Check us out on social media, Facebook and Instagram at Blue City Fashion. Blue City, creativity and style.
Thanks to you for staying with us. Indeed, if you just joined us and you're watching PM Ghana here on Adwa Television, an evening version of AM Ghana, here we discuss matters that bother you and bothers me and bothers the country as well. Far as the governance is concerned, we've bridged the gap between the lawmakers and the populace. My name is Reginald Addy, and tonight I indicated we'll be looking at an overall standing of Ghana's economy, diving into the levy, the promises made, the warnings also rendered. We'll also be looking at the downgrading of Ghana's credit risk standing as well. And then, if time permits us, we'll be looking into petroleum as another sector of the economy. Well, my guest for tonight is an economist, and he has been very proficient in the media space, almost always speaking on matters of the economy. If you want an undiluted view and standing on economic matters in the country, Dr. Sam Walanyo, who is my guest for tonight, will take you through and give you optimum understanding. Dr. Sam Walanyo, good evening.
Good evening.
And thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, and Happy New Year as well.
Yes, I think it's the first time we are meeting
exactly,
in the new year,
exactly.
right?
And we'll be monitoring you from afar.
Right.
And in fact, you have been an inspiration to the teeming youth out there.
Right.
So keep the great worth doing.
Thank you very much.
And I believe that soon and very soon, greater doors will open for you.
Amen. Amen.
I believe it. And looking at what you have been doing for Mother Ghana, I know after hard day's work, there are good rewards.
Of course. Gradually, we will get there. Well, you're looking dashing, I mean, for a new year. And I'm happy to see you in all white. I don't know if you're trying to mimic the finance minister, because today we'll be speaking on matters of the economy. You are an economist. I mean, you understand. I can't pretend that I know so much, but with the little understanding that we get, we also try to, dissect matters for the public to understand. As you are an economist, we've heard from Moody's, we've heard from Fitch. Internally, what do you think the standing of our economy is as a country? Are we heading towards the higher risk with all the borrowings and the measures being put in place, the policies that Ghanaians are kicking against, and all the unsettlements? What does it make for you?
Thank you very much. I think by and large we are in the era of globalization and development, which basically runs on the wheels of a knowledge-based economy and that of a digital economy. And so if you go by that standard, you realize that the global world is quite changing, especially when the COVID came. And so things were no longer normal as we've seen it in the past. And so governments and economies are striving very hard to migrate from a normal traditional economy to a more digitized economy. And that calls for a concern, that calls for a different thorough approach as far as development is concerned. And so invariably, Ghana's economy is no exceptional. And so we are likely to see much more changes than what we've normally known in the past or what we are used to. And so that, in terms of the e-levy and all of this, these are new dimensions as far as digital economy is concerned. And so if you look at Ghana's performance as far as the local economy is concerned, I think it's quite favorable, even though I believe that there are too much loopholes in the system, that if we are able to block all those loopholes, it's really going to strengthen our economy. Now, when you look at the research that is done by Fitch and others, you realize that they are looking at the potentials within the economy and how best we have been able to take advantage of those potentials. We're looking at the strengths of the economy. And so once they are downgrading your economy, means that the potentials are being reduced, the opportunities are being reduced, and the kind of trust people have within your economy is being reduced. So simply that is what it means. Right. But it's still a professional opinion, so there are margin of errors, and so those margin of errors cannot be underestimated. And so we believe that once it's a perception, because in this time of scientific research, there are a lot of variations as to how data is being collected. Right. And so it's only giving you a pictorial structure as to what, as a government, what areas that you think you need to pay attention to. So I believe that the government should embrace this kind of research and look at the findings. The findings will definitely tell you as to which direction you should go, especially when you are not doing well in terms of fighting corruption, when there is no fiscal discipline within the economy, when the leaders are not able to have a smaller budget and they are living an opulent lifestyle. And so all this research will point to that direction, that now if care is not taken, you are going to have a limited investor confidence. And that can be a recipe for disaster, because investors are looking at all these kind of probabilities in deciding what next action to take. So I believe that in as much that the indicators are quite favorable, because when you look at the interest rate, inflationary rate, the growth rate and the exchange rate, I think that basically they are all favorable. And when you look at it from that,
you believe that our inflation rate is favorable?
Yes.
Looking at how the prices of commodities, especially fuel, for instance, has been on the rise recently, and we understand that projections say that we could buy a liter of petrol at 8 cedis anytime. So,
Yes, yes.
do you think by this that inflation is favorable in the country?
Yes, it's favorable in the sense that even though inflation is increasing, it's increasing at the pace where I think is reasonable when we are in the technical corridors.
Right.
You realize that it's reasonable simply in the sense that the economy is more of an import-led economy.
Yes.
So we import more into the country to supplement what we have more than we export. So once you do that, there is pressure on the economy. And so when the COVID came, the COVID has not affected the African economy much, but the reactions from the developed economies, which we relied on so much, have a negative influence on our economy. And so that has brought some kind of agitation within the corridors of power. And so if you look at it from that angle, that we import much into the country, and due to the COVID, the importations have some kind of fluctuations and volatilities. And based on those fluctuations and volatilities, it has really affected the performance of certain commodities in the country. And that may give rise to inflation. And also when you look at the our inability to support and empower, emancipate the pharmaceutical industry to even produce much more COVID drugs that we needed in the country, and we need to import these drugs into the country with huge sum of dollars. So it has put pressure on the local currency, thereby causing some form of natural inflations. And so if you study this very well, you realize that some they are due to external factors, and which as a country you may not have any alternative as to how to stop that. But going forward, I believe that if we were to also champion the agribusinesses and agro-processing, which through the planting for food and jobs that the government has professed very well, we give it a priority attention, we could have been able to produce much more and achieve food security, and thereby somehow controlling inflation. But now that even tomatoes and other things, we still depend on such commodities from even neighboring countries like Cote d'Ivoire and Burkina Faso. And so Burkina Faso too, of late, there is crisis there. There is a coup d'etat, and it's really going to affect. Borders have been shut. So you are likely to see more inflation in the coming days. So if somebody is projecting that, okay, there will be an upward adjustment in terms of fuel prices, yes, those are likelihoods. And because of other external factors, when we depend too much on foreign goods, it's really have effects on our domestication as far as management of the economy is concerned. But naturally, you realize that the economy is doing quite well. It's one of the stable economies in the sub-Saharan Africa, and also even in the world. It's one of the best 20 stable economies as far as the post-COVID economy is concerned.
Well, we have issues of debt crisis. When you listen to Moody's, for instance, they lament about issues of our liquidity challenges and our debt challenges as well. Could this lead to a debt crisis in the country, especially considering all the factors you've given?
Okay, well, all depends on where you stand. I've been saying that I don't think what Moody and Fitch they are saying is anything new to that. These are what we normally say every day. But it's just becoming, just because it's coming from a stranger. Well, so we are giving attention to it. But I think that these are the same issues that we raise in our local economy every day. But coming to the main point, you realize that the concentration of the research is mainly about the growth of the economy, whereby they have concentrated much on business development. If you look at it very well, it also factored industrialization. And these are areas that the COVID has really affected, because most businesses have not even bounced back. And so if you are going to concentrate on performance of businesses, both small, medium, and large-scale enterprises, then you are likely to have a deficit in terms of research finding. If you are going to concentrate much more on industrialization, and because maybe perhaps government have 4 years, and out of the 4 years, 2 years COVID came, and definitely COVID has influence on the performance of the economy as far as one district, one factory is concerned. So definitely, if that is your concentration, you are going to have a reverse form of findings. And I think that they are right, and it's a true reflection. So I was surprised that the government finds times and started condemning. There is no need for you to condemn such a report. You need to study it. Once somebody comes out with a professional opinion, you need to study the whole concept 2 or 3 weeks and come out with your own response. But just getting up and just condemning in total uncertainty terms, I think that it's uncalled for, and in the corridors of intellectual work, we don't behave like that. And so government should take a cue from that, and next time such things shouldn't happen. And I think that economy is not doing too bad. But then when you look at these key areas, industrialization and domestication, it has really affected, the COVID has really affected these key areas. And government really needs to pay attention to it. But I think government is concentrating too much on the political information than on economic information. So there's too much political information in the system that even the e-levy issue has become a political debate instead of being an economic debate. And so I believe that government can still do better. Looking at our debt stock is so high. But then the countries like even USA, Japan, Germany, and all others runs a deficit, budget deficits for close to 150, 200 years before they get to where they are. Because sometimes you can't balance your books. You need to borrow in order to embark on capital investment before you can grow the economy. So the debt level is not too bad per se, but then what do we use the money for becomes a concern. Because we borrow the money for a purpose, but we can't see what we have used the money for. So our procurement processes and procedures have been so cumbersome to the extent that the system has been loosed, and there are no checks and balances. So the money, that quantum of monies and resources that needs to go into 3 projects is now going to 1 project, and the rest of the money finds their way into individual pockets. And so if indeed government wanted to stabilize the economy more and have value for money, then government should be able to support the anti-corruption agencies like Iroko and Special Prosecutor's Office, STRAJ, and even the Attorney General's Office and that of the Auditor General's Department. The Auditor General Department have been given the power to search out people, and you've read the report in the public domain. More than 12 billion have gone missing, and so what is government doing about it? So we can't continue just raising revenue at the expense of the poor, and at the end of the day we misapply, misuse, mismanage, all because of power drunk, power abuse, power misuse, and power corrupt.
Well, now you say the economy is not doing so bad. Now, this week alone, we are bound to see about at least 2 demonstrations. This morning, till 12 p.m., there was the No Calls Day. I don't know how feasible that was. I don't even know the progress, because I saw a couple of people trying to call me in between these times. So I mean, although I didn't pick up, all the same, I don't know. Maybe you received call. You're a businessman. You're an economist. A lot of people get to you. But of course, this is a way of a people expressing their displeasure. Now, come tomorrow, we are bound to see the NDC with some other corporate organizations and individuals demonstrate against the e-levy. Now, let's put the e-levy, as the bedrock, the protests to the e-levy as a bedrock for the people's expression of displeasure about the economy. Because I don't think that if people were having enough, they would lament so much about the e-levy. If you say that the economy is good, how come we are having all of these protests?
Well, that's a constitutional responsibility as well.
Certainly. Now, of course, people are kicking against it. That's what the substance of the matter that we want to look at.
Yes.
Why are people kicking against it? And the lamentation is not just because people don't want to pay e-levy, but we've heard arguments that, look, these are individuals who have lost their jobs as a result of COVID-19. These are individuals who have had some form of economic recession as a result of COVID-19. Some are now trying to recover, and then you impose new taxes upon them. And these are one of the reasons why they are going against it. I mean, it all boils down to the economy.
Well, the concept of e-levy, as I indicated, is an economic decision, not a political decision. So I'm surprised that the whole thing has been reduced to a political debate. Now you realize that you can't introduce an economic policy into a country and economy without having a social orientation or social engineering. And so government got it wrong from the first instance of not informing the public about its intention to introduce a new tax system altogether. And so it takes everybody by surprise. So that shock alone have a reactions. Now, beside that, I also think that if you take the Ghanaians population into consideration, about 70% of Ghanaians are illiterate. So it's easier for politicians to manipulate. And so most of the times, most of these agitations and uprisings are all because most people, not that people are not sensible enough, they have the right to demonstrate. But most of these demonstrations are being coerced by political forces, and it's not a reality.
Well, let's put the demonstration aside. The demonstration obviously is being orchestrated by the NDC. But if we read the prelims towards the demonstration tomorrow, you realize that a lot of other civil organizations, corporate organizations, individuals who do not necessarily belong to the NDC are embarking on that same demonstration. In this vein, do you really want to stay by the notion that it's being sparked, or the retaliation is being sparked by opposition
well, you're still pushing me to some tight corner.
I'm not pushing you. I want us to look at
obviously the demonstration is being necessitated by a policy government is introducing. So I want to concentrate more on the policy.
Great.
That's the e-levy. What are the advantages and disadvantages? What are the effects on the economy? Rather than looking at how somebody feels personally.
Right.
I also have my own views,
right,
but I think I should profess more professional views.
Right. You are a professional. What's your view?
Yeah. So you realize that the traditional economy is gradually migrating to a more digital economy, and so most business transactions are all being done through online and on digital platforms. So every government now started devising mechanisms as to how you can migrate your economy from a normal traditional economy to a more digital economy. And so the e-levy issue is also part of the digital economy. And so if you are looking at it from that context, you realize that then there is the need for Ghana government to roll out a policy and program to be able to get some forms of revenue through the digital economy. Now, when you also realize that our 70 to 75% of Ghana's economy is in the informal sector, and we are all complaining every day that the informal sector is not contributing much to national development. Now, the e-levy is rolling out everybody on board, whether rich or poor, whether formal or informal. So at the end of the day, the digitization that we have embarked on, these are some of the end results. So we are likely to get this kind of reactions. But on more serious note, we also realize that the quantum of percentage rate that the government is demanding for a start is too high.
Right.
Because already the telcos are charging about 2%. If I'm sending...
They are just a bit below 1%.
Yes.
I don't think any of the telcos have gone beyond 1%. Recently we heard
it's in and out.
There has been a 25%.
It's in and out. If I'm sending money to you, I paid 1%. If you are going to withdraw the same money, you pay 1%. That makes it 2%.
Okay.
You understand?
That would make government's 1 point, let's put it now 1.5%, 3%.
Yes.
Right.
So if government added 1.50%, then that will make it 3.5%. And it's too high. And I think that if anything at all, either 0.5% or 1%. And so government should have engaged Ghanaians more. And even with that, government should be able to create a special account the e-levy funds must not go into consolidated fund. Government should create a new account where all of us we can look into and interrogate every day. Government, beside the special account, government should also make other provisions. For instance, what are we going to use this e-levy money for? Is it for educational empowerment?
So
is it for healthcare delivery?
I want us to go there now. E-levy, we understand, is expected to raise about some 6 billion Ghana cedis. Now, when you compare that to what we lose, I mean, almost everybody has done that comparison. Is e-levy at this time a feasible, policy? Is it the most, for lack of a better word, is it the most reasonable policy right now when we are losing even greater amounts to unchecked, sources of revenue draining away?
Well, I think e-levy can never be an economic messiah. But at the same time, it also have a role to play. The minimum expectation as far as revenue generation is concerned is 6 billion.
Yes.
But I am believing that that 6 billion can be multiplied by 10. Simply because
in our economy.
Yes.
Oh, maybe you've not listened to the finance minister. The finance minister himself said that he projects a 25% reduction in the use of the digital monetary platforms. Now, this obviously, when you take a good look at the outlook, I don't know if that deduction was made before the projection of the 6 billion Ghana cedis, but we fear that the reduction may be even severe.
Now, I made that statement because now government is looking at one time the quantum of money that has been transferred. Like, let's say a day, maybe 1 billion has been transferred. But that 1 billion can be transferred like 10 times again. Because I transfer 100 Ghana cedis or 1,000 Ghana cedis to you. That is what government is looking at. But we are also going to transfer to another person. Government takes 1.75 or 1.50. That person also transferred to another person. So it's that cycle continues. So I'm saying that the 6 billion target government is talking about is only one-time transfer.
Right.
And government is not even talking about the number of reoccurrence.
So in what you're saying, people should have more reason to kick against the e-levy, shouldn't they? Because this same one amount, 1,000 as you put it, to be transferred, let's say from end to another end, to let's say the sit end, would be taxed at each level.
Yes.
By the time it reaches the sit or the end recipient,
government has made a lot of money.
Government has made a lot of money to the citizen. What are we doing? Impoverishing
even sometimes
the citizen.
Sometimes within 10 minutes.
Of course, but that would be impoverishing the citizen who is transacting or who is sending the money from one point to the other.
Yes. That is why I'm saying that looking at these projections that I'm making, I am believing that government is going to raise a lot. So there is no need for government to increase the rate so high.
Right.
You understand? Government doesn't need to increase the rate so high. Even 0.50% is even enough. Because at the end of the day, you are going to get more than 2%.
Of course. And it's still at the end of the day, taxes on the telco's service charges as well.
But then it's also going to pose more crisis again. If there is a reduction in patronage as far as mobile money is concerned, then people will be resort to carrying cash. When you are resorted to carrying cash, meaning that highway robbery is coming back.
Well,
there will be robbery, attacks on market women.
There have been concerns about the inequality that will be, that will be generated as a result of people trying to run away from the e-levy as a result of the exorbitant percentage on the charges. So take it for instance, you and I go to buy a bottle of water. I decide to pay for this bottle of water through my mobile money account, but you have cash, and so my mobile money account would see some deduction, assuming the bottle of water is at the threshold of the 100 cedis, which is minimum for to warrant an e-levy taxation.
Even I would pay that 100 Ghana. That 100 Ghana they are talking about have conditions. Because if you transfer 100 cedis in the morning, in the afternoon you transfer 100, the law will now apply to the 200 Ghana. It's a software. It's a software. The software is connected to your number. You understand? So it's not like how people think when you send 100 cedis, then you escape. Another time you send 100 cedis, you escape. No.
Oh, so cumulative, yes.
Yes, cumulatively, yes.
That's true.
So
the 100 cedis is a cumulative 100 cedis for the day.
Yes.
So the moment you exceed anything beyond 100 cedis after the day, would warrant the So now this is the inequality that I'm talking about, and so I am charged on the bottle of water that I paid because perhaps in the morning I had transferred 100 cedis already. In the afternoon I felt like buying water. And the water vendor has this POS system, and so I just tap my NFC device, and then payment is effected on that small amount. Because I have exceeded 100 cedis a day, let's say I'm paying 1 cedi 50 pesos for this, a 1.75 will be taken away from my money on the 1 cedi 50 pesos.
Exactly.
And you who is paying with cash would only have to pay with your 1 cedi 50 pesos. This is the inequality that is being generated, which poses a threat to the e-levy in itself, and subsequently the amount projected to be generated from the e-levy. Is it going to be feasible? And one final question after your answer on the e-levy.
Well, you realize that the LGBTQI plus came and we kick against it, and these all have international repercussions on our economy. And so if you depend too much on the foreign grants and loans and aids, definitely you are going to face opposition.
Yes.
And so government is now looking within a homegrown approach in order to generate revenue. And so, and we cannot also fail what will happen next as far as the COVID is concerned. If next year or by July there is a new wave and every country is going lockdown, how are you going to survive your economy? So I think that government, looking at the numerous promises, will be looking at a sustainable income and not involving too much logistics, too much resources, but having enough revenue. Because at the end of the day, if there is a software, the software accumulates the profit for them every hour. And so government makes a lot of money. So I think that it's really going to help government. If only government will be able to utilize this money, it's really going to generate enough revenue. And if government is able to utilize this money very well, there will be no need for us going for any foreign loans.
Oh, so this is where I was just about going. Now, the rating by Fitch and Moody's. Obviously, you spoke about the impact on investor confidence.
Exactly.
And it has also on the international market crashed our dollar bond as a country as well. Now, this means that where we've been placed, if we don't take our time, we can't even go out there for, international grants or aids. Now, we have the IMF that we can also go to, but one would say that we are not disciplined as a country enough to go to the IMF, because of course when you go to the IMF they are going to impose certain restrictions. You think that this could be the case for us? Perhaps why not go to the IMF if we believe that we are a disciplined country?
No, I don't believe in new colonialism. I don't know why black man always thinks white man is capable of doing something better for us, because
these are loans that we're going for. We need
yes. I'm coming to that
because we don't have sustainable.
We just exited IMF conditionalities 4 years ago as a country, and I can tell you that the economic indicators today are better than when IMF was managing the economy.
I see.
As of 2016, how was the inflation? Inflation was over 14%. You understand? So the economy is being managed better by blacks than the white. So I don't think that issue about new colonialism, let's go to IMF. Why? Why do we go to IMF? Now, the IMF conditionalities doesn't even support industrialization. So it give you monies, grants and loans, and the conditionality says that you can only use it for recurrent expenditures. And for that matter, you can never grow an economy. So I always try to disabuse people's mind of going for these Bretton Woods institutions facilities, because it's never going to help your economy to grow. And I don't think the economy is in crisis to the extent that we need IMF. Let me tell you, the IMF will be running around because it's just a bank. People don't know. They thought it's God somewhere. No, IMF is just a bank. Like how we have a Ghana Commercial Bank.
Yeah, like
it's also just
IMF is an international bank.
Yes, it's just a bank. And they also want jobs. You understand? If you borrow from them, they also get interest. And they pay their staffs. So they've been moving around, throwing all kind of information into the economy. If you are not smart enough, those things influences you, and it creates fear and panic. And it runs back to them. It's never free. IMF loan is never free. It's also interest you pay.
Certainly.
But they will make sure that is why Chinese loan is far better than IMF loan. Because they will give you the money, what you want to use it for. You will decide which areas you want to invest the money. But once you are going to pay them back, but if you go and you mismanage it, that's your own cup of tea.
Well,
the IMF will tell you that no, you can only use this money and these grants for payments of salaries and wages, building capacities, having seminars. At the end of the day, the money got finished. And the economy will still be in crisis. So I don't think that even the situation in the economy now does not even call for IMF bailout.
So, well, what we have on our screens right now is a Fitch credit rating of Ghana's economy from 2002 to 2003 to 2022. We can see from past precedents. So in 2002, we had Prof. Somewhere in the middle there. I'm hoping that I could see this very clearly. So somewhere in 2002, we had Prof. Mills standing at B. Our rating was B. Okay, so that's President John Ajay Kufuor at B, and then in 2005 again we jumped up to B plus. That's a very positive outlook, I believe. And then he sustained 2006, 2008, very good outlook. And then 2009, Prof. Mills takes over. He was able to sustain it. A rating of B plus, but with a negative outlook. So you realize the difference. The difference between John Ajay Kufuor's time as compared to John Evans Atta Mills' time has an outlook of positive, stable to negative. So the best that Prof. Mills did was to stabilize it, and then we had JEA Mills, John Dramani Mahama come in to keep us at a rating of B plus, but with a negative outlook. Now, he there again in 2013 took us down to B with a stable outlook. In 2014, we were at B again with a stable outlook. 2017, B with a stable outlook. And 2021, B with a negative outlook. 2022, we are here. B minus, negative outlook. Now, for Fitch, at least they tell us that we have a negative outlook. That is not the same story with Moody's. Moody's downgrading from B3 to CAA1 indicates a positive outlook somehow. Now, I know that these ratings based on current or past economic trends, but for the outlook, they look at policies that are being put in place. Could this be as a result of the e-levy?
Well, not only e-levy. I think government has introduced much more policies, pro-poor policies, in terms of industrialization, domestication, and commercialization. But at the end of the day, government is not able to roll out these policies effectively. And so, what's the state of one district, one factory?
Yes.
What's the state of one district, one warehouse? What's the state of one village, one dam? So when you analyze all this, it's like a populous policy by government, then they are not able to sustain it. I think that that is what they were concentrating much on, and it has a negative repercussions on the economy. And so, but then it's not like WAEC. They are also just a professional bodies, like how we have them in Ghana. So it's not like WAEC that we have subscribed to determine exactly that whatever they say, that is what is happening in the country. So they have the right to express their professional opinion, but I don't think Ghana have subscribed to their policies and programs that they should tell us how the economy is performing, and whatever that they say is binding. No, so but I still appreciate I think what they have done. I think they have really projected the areas where we have weaknesses within the economy, and government should take quick steps to be able to find remedies to such challenges.
Well, so now let's look at the positioning. You have given us your position. You are happy at least about the the entire outlook that they've given us, and also highlighted where we may be falling short. But the finance minister, whom we're expecting to have taken this in good faith, has said that they were doing desktop research or whatsoever, and we have also sought to the African Union to ask Moody's to review that rating. I remember somewhere in 2017, 2018, where Moody's was projecting our economy with a positive outlook.
Okay.
The same administration believed in it. In fact, they touted, yes, they referred us back to some of these ratings. Why now challenging them? So when it's negative, they are wrong, but when it's positive, they are correct. Can we trust such people?
Well, I think that the comment by finance minister, I think some portion is not statement, and so he could have just said he welcomed the findings, and they'll look at it and respond appropriately, and that may cause it to die a natural death. But going beyond condemning, I don't think it's neither here nor there, because they have really done their research. What research have you done? The research they have done. So you are yet to conduct a research, and so until you have find an alternative to what they have done, you can never condemn. So we are saying that in as much that we think that it portrays Ghana as having a weak economy, we should rather look at the findings and a few proposals that they have made, and so that we use those proposals and work it out quickly. Some are simply structural issues, systemic failures, and so once you are able to realign and put your systems right, I think you will be able to get most of these things right. So government shouldn't panic at all. I think that we as a country, we can still do better if really we have taken these findings into consideration.
Well, so out of most of the things that you mentioned about growing the economy, you spoke about industrialization, you spoke about domestication, and what have you. You asked certain questions. For instance, how far have we gone? Where is the position of the one district, one factory, planting for food and jobs, rearing for food and jobs, and all of these great initiatives? We haven't seen them yield as much to make us internally sustainable, because in the wake of COVID, we realized that if we didn't take time, we were going to go very deep down, and that was when we also realized that we weren't doing much when it comes to internal domestication. Now, instead of all of these measures to be put in place or to be strengthened, we are seeing people rather being taxed. I hope you're getting the drift. We are focusing on taxing people's transactions as opposed to creating an enabling environment where almost everyone can come on board and push the economy forward. I think what is the outlook? What is the outlook with this kind of position?
I think you are right. But then on more practical note, you realize that in as much that the government tries to push an agenda for long-term development, for sustainable development of the economy, government is also mindful of certain short-term measures in order to get revenue timely.
Right.
Or some of the projects and programs will take a longer time to yield dividends. And so government will also be looking for short-term measures to get resources quickly. Because you'll be there is a national disaster. How do you respond if there is no money? If within 2-3 weeks you will not be able to mobilize resources to so definitely government will be looking at short-term measures, even though it's also considering long-term measures. And most of these policies and programs are long-term measures. But the concern is that gradually government is losing attention. Government is losing focus on these wonderful initiatives. I think from the 1992 till date, this government have the good number of social intervention programs and policies, but somewhere they have just allowed partisan politics to just derail the gains that they've started. So I think it's not too late. So government can still go back, revisit certain decisions, and be able to put the economy properly back on track.
Well, now the e-levy is being, projected as I don't know if I'll be right to say a panacea for our current problems. Do you think this is feasible?
E-levy cannot be the economic messiah, but then it's really going to play a major role. If talking about revenue generation, I'm suspecting that e-levy alone, if being managed very well, can give us like 30% of expected revenue. And that is so huge to the extent that and the way is going to give revenue timely without any major constraints. I think that is what government is looking at. It's not like bank whereby you are now going to have facilities, buy cars and pay staffs. And this is just a cool chop. The revenue without any expenditure attached to it. So it's definitely going to help government in sustainable development. But government should also focus much more on production than taxation. And I believe that the nice programs that they have, they should be able to champion that. There is nothing wrong if they can help their party executives to go into commercial farming rather than people fighting to become DCs. So government should really work. When you create this enabling environment, everybody's at ease, and that kind of longer hairs is no longer in the system. I believe that they still have a space to make amends, and we will be able to move the country and the economy forward.
Well, Doc, now one area that I am concerned about is the long-term investments and policies that the country has put itself in. I don't know if the current administration would indeed break the 8, so that perhaps in the next administration we will see indeed the impact of the long-term policies that they have put in place, the one district, one factory, and all that.
But
if we have borrowed excessively,
okay.
So I don't mean to cut you out, but I want to wrap up on the question. We have borrowed excessively. This administration has borrowed more than any other government that we've had in the Fourth Republic, and most of these borrowings have gone into these long-term policies, which we are not bound to reap yet. Is it a wrong move to have borrowed into long-term investments? Because investments will come. I beg your pardon. Yes, borrowings would come with the interest, and if you are not able to overturn these policies to generate something to cushion the interest, then obviously you'll be landing in trouble, which we find ourselves
Yes,
now.
I think government equally sense that. That's why we caution government not to borrow from the domestic market, because that will have deprived the
domestic domestic banks.
Yes, domestic banks. If government continue to borrow from the local banks, it's really going to affect performance of the small and medium scale enterprises, because the bank will have run out of liquidity to help petty traders and other small scale industries. And I think that if government also goes outside and goes for these bonds and euros, it's adding up to our at their stock. So government wanted to play a very smart game by looking at a revenue pool whereby it will not have replications on a debt stock. Thereby, if you raise more, you generate more revenue, your percentage raise to that of GDP also reduces.
Right.
And so government is looking at that. And if government succeeded doing that, then it succeeded attending to much more of social intervention programs. Like for instance, the expectation of Ghanaians are high. And when you look at the infrastructure deficit that we have as a country, it's so huge. And if government is able to get this e-levy as revenue to the state and begin to fix roads, begin to provide good healthcare delivery systems, support, restructure the free SHS and all others, champion the one district, one factory, one village, one dam, it's likely winning the next election will be easier.
I see.
Because if they have more money in the system, I'm saying this because of the past experiences. Ghanaians, most of the times, we don't reason too much. Whatever that comes our way today, we take that and take a decision. We don't really look at the future. So if government have more money and use some of those money on flashy things within the electioneering time, it's likely they can use it to confuse and win the interest of people
the opposition is saying that this is the reason why the current administration wants to introduce e-levy, so that by the time they're heading towards elections, they have enough money to flaunt around. Like
exactly. And once that has happened, the opposition will never win.
I see. Well, let's see how it goes. Let's see if first of e-levy would be passed, and what would be made of it. If there would be leakages in there, then perhaps the 6 billion projection would reduce drastically. If not, maybe the current administration would have some money to flaunt. Well, Dr. Sam Bolanyo has been my guest for this evening. We're speaking on the state of Ghana's economy. We've spoken about the consequences of Moody's and Fitch's ratings. We've spoken about the timing of the e-levy as well. And speaking about timing, I'm hoping that the timing would have been enough, but unfortunately, Dr. Sam Bolanyo has to attend to some other important matters. He has actually extended the time he intended to stay. Thank you very much, Doc. We are grateful for your time. Always then ready to answer to us. I must say that your contributions to national discussions is quite amazing. People are learning a lot from you. Myself, I'm learning a lot from you. And keep up with the good works. And keep up with the all white as well. Maybe sometime you become the finance minister. Then you make me your assistant. Well, you're watching PM Ghana here on Adva TV. We'll go for a quick turnaround. While we come back, we'll wrap up appropriately. Do stay tuned.
Very